welcome. As you are joining in, drop and let me know where you are watching from. Today's conversation is one that I planned on having, and then I saw this movie Straw last night, and I was like, yeah, I definitely need to have this conversation and just add a little bit more to it. If you have watched the movie Straw yet, I will not give spoilers, but let me know, drop in comments if you have watched it, what your thoughts are. But we're going to get into it because the topic that I have for today, the title of this is You're Not Bad with Money, You're Just Carrying Too Much. And this has come up through conversations that I've had with my clients where they're feeling like they're bad with money because of certain financial decisions that they've made, whether it's deciding to eat out or the shopping trip or the impulse spending or just different things. But when we peel back the layers, it's not what it is on the surface, right? It's not the uncontrollable spending on the surface. It's not the, oh, I'm eating out even though I got food at home, right? There's so much more to it. And I want to talk about that today. And then I'll also connect it to the movie that I saw yesterday, Straw. Like I said, if you have not seen it, I'm just going to tell you right now, for me, I watched that movie and at the end of it, I was not okay. All right? I was not okay. And I'll talk about that as well. But before we jump in, I want to just introduce myself. Hey, I'm Tashika Ma'at. I'm a financial coach and the founder of Jama Wealth Financial. And I help high earners keep more cash in their pocket so they can position for wealth and create a life of freedom and ease. And this particular topic, like I said, is something that we need to talk about more, especially given that women of color, specifically Black women, as I'm talking about here, who are handling a lot of managing the finances. I know for myself, I'm the main one managing the finances. My husband does support in decisions and things, but I'm the one who's looking at the numbers and creating the plans of what we're doing. And I find that talking with a lot of women, they're also in the same situation of being the one who's mainly looking at the numbers and responsible for what's going on. Hey, thanks for joining. And so I want to start off with a question first, right? I want you to think about a moment where you have avoided your finances, right? Even if deep down inside, you're like, I know I need to be looking at my numbers. I know I need to understand what's going on with my finances. But has there been a moment for you where you just you couldn't look at your bank account? You didn't want to open up that credit card statement because you knew what you were going to see, right? That avoidance. Have you had one of those moments, right? And then two, hey, thanks for joining. Two, look at, does money feel heavy for you? Like, even though you're making 150K, 200 plus $1,000 a year, does managing your money still feel heavy for you? And I asked you two questions because I want you to, one, drop in the chat and let me know if this is you. But I also want you to reflect and look at what else is there going on in your life that could potentially be contributing to your financial situation. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to break that down, right? Because the example that I used earlier in talking with the client, we're going through our numbers, we're checking on her progress of where she's been. And one of the things that she says is that she just feels like she's wasting a lot of money. One, because she's spending on groceries, but then she finds herself going out and, ordering something that's quick to pick up, right? And while on the surface, it's like, okay, yes, you have this goal, you're trying to improve your finances. Why is it that you keep going and eating out? But when you break it down, when we started to dig deeper and ask more questions, okay, well, what's going on? What are the patterns that you're noticing that's coming up when you are going out to eat, right? Once we started to dig deeper and uncover that, this is what we found. It wasn't simply the fact that, oh, she was just mindlessly going and eating out. It was that there were so many other things that was going on that for that particular day, going home and making dinner or trying to decide yet another thing after you've been leading at work and you've been leading your team and doing all these things, to then come home and make a decision. While that decision may seem small, it can be a lot on your mental overload, because you're like, I don't even want to think about making dinner right now. I just want to make a simple choice of, I'm just going to pick up something and have it ready for my family without having to think about yet another thing. That's one of the things that comes up, and it comes up often, is yes, you're managing the finances, but you have 10, 20, 30 other things that's going on in your mind. But then you're being hard on yourself because you're trying to figure out, well, why can't I just control my spending? Why can't I, just cook dinner? Or why can't I just do the thing that I need to do so that I can move forward with my finances? Because it's so much more than that. A lot of times you have to really dig deep and center yourself inside, calm on the inside, to be able to show up differently. And this brings me to the point in the movie that I saw yesterday. And yes, the woman in this movie, I won't give too many details, but she was going through a lot, right? Black woman going through a lot, single mother. And I'm watching the movie, and I'm kind of seeing the things that are going on. One of which is, obviously, she's struggling financially. She's trying to make ends meet. And of course, she's just doing the best that she can. But what got me in this movie was, on the surface level, whether it's the people that are there who are saying things to her, not knowing the burden that she has internally, that she's still coming to work and showing up and doing all these things, not knowing what's happening inside of her mind, and how that impacts and spills over into other areas of her life, right? She was dealing with a lot and handling it in the best way that she could. And the thing is, sometimes you're also dealing with a lot, right? You're trying to manage things at work. You're trying to make sure the kids get everything they need and get to school, and all the things are checked, the papers are signed. You're trying to manage, your relationship, and making sure that there's still communication and everything's going there with your partner. You're doing all of these things, right? And then on top of that, trying to manage the finances as well can also be challenging. And so a lot of what I see is not just a simple, oh, here's a budget, just plug your numbers in there, get it done. It's not that simple, right? You tried to budget, you tried to do all the things, you've done the spreadsheets, you've done the apps, you've done all those things, and yet you're still finding that you're not able to see progress, because a lot of times it's a lot more than just numbers on a spreadsheet, right? You really have to uncover, what is the root cause? What are the stressors in your life that also spills over into your finance? I know I've said this before. Managing your money, it impacts all different areas of your life. I always say that you need to be aligned mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, right? In order for you to be able to be whole and ensuring that things are not impacting your finances. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, please drop in the comments. Let me know. Even if you're watching the replay, let me know, what are you getting from this? Are you finding this in your own life, right? That there's so many things that can be happening in your day-to-day that's impacting your finances, and whether you are aware, or if it's a subconscious awareness that you may not be able to see that on the outside, right? But the patterns are there. You're trying to put a Band-Aid on it, and you're looking at, I just got to get this new budget, I just need to do X, Y, and Z, when those are, quick fixes that's not really going to move the needle for you, because it's so much deeper than that, right? You're already dealing with so much. You're trying to handle everything on your own, and a lot of times you're leaving yourself for last, right? You're already depleted, and then you're also trying to figure out how to manage your finances and how to reach the goals and how to do all these things. It's no wonder there's that constant tether and tug and pull of, why am I not moving forward, right? And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because even when I reflect back on my own journey, I know there was a time for me where it was, my husband was in graduate school and I was holding it down with two girls and I'm working. And for a period, I always say I was a single mom because he was in another city and I was managing the girls. But the thing about it is, I remember the days where it was just so much to handle. I'm going to work, I'm going to pick him up from daycare, and coming home and then trying to figure out, what do I cook for dinner, trying to decompress. But then the quickest thing, the easiest thing to release some of that mental load from having to, again, overwhelm us, like, you know what, let me just go ahead and go pick up some Chick-fil-A. I'm going to, take care of the kids. And it's like, okay, that one thing, I was able to get that off my plate. And so imagine if you're in that constant state of overwhelm day after day, trying to manage everything. It's no wonder that there's going to be times where you may be on the surface going out and eating, and you might think, oh, I'm just uncontrollably spending. When, yeah, on the surface, it might look like you're spending uncontrollably, but it's, again, so much deeper than that. How are you showing up for yourself? How are you taking care of you to make sure that you are emotionally regulated so that you can show up and align and put your finances in order the way that you need to be, right? Because you're operating from this place of, your cup is basically half empty, and then you're trying to then take on the load of, all right, now I got to mentally think about the finances and I got to do X, Y, and it's just too much, right? And so that's why I think about this movie yesterday when I was looking at it, I'm like, And on the surface, on the outside, you got people looking like, oh, you're irresponsible, you're overspending, you're doing all these things, and you're not taking care of your finances. And it's like, and that's the thing. That's the thing with me too, is that I never take things at face value, because my mode of operation is more of like, I'm curious, like, I wonder what's going on, like what's happening that, I know you want to achieve these goals, but what's really going on underneath the surface as to why you're not able to achieve it, right? What are the patterns that are coming up that's keeping you stuck in that same phase? Like, that's really the real questions that we need to be asking, or you need to be asking yourself of, what's happening, right? That's essentially what I do. Like I said, it's beyond the numbers for me. Yes, the numbers are good. Yes, you get a budget. Yes, you do all those things and you have the plan in the system. But ultimately, you have to understand what are those internal things, the subconscious things that are getting in the way, that's keeping you from seeing progress with your money, right? If this is resonating with you, let me know. Like I tell you, that the visual effects of, I know there's people got this love-hate relationship with Tyler Perry in these movies, but for me, I will say in the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't know where this movie's going. I decided to sit and stick around and watch it, but by the end of it, it just made me. It tied into the conversation. I was already having this conversation today. I'm like, I need to talk about this because it resonated so much with what I'm talking about here, of how you're trying to move forward, but you're still stuck because of all these different things. And the thing that I see too is then the self-infliction on yourself of you're feeling that shame, like I'm bad with money, I'm doing something wrong. And it's like, no, you're not doing anything wrong, right? One, a lot of this you weren't taught, right? You may be taught, well, go to school, get your education, get that good job, make that money, right? That I know that's for me, that's what I was taught, right? And so when you get to that point and then you're not able to take the income that you have and create that life and building and the savings and investing to actually feel free, then you start questioning yourself, well, what am I doing wrong? Or why can't I move forward with my finances, right? And the breakthrough really comes through when you stop blaming yourself. Yes, we need to take accountability because there are some things that people need to take accountability for, but for the most part, the shame of thinking that you need to know all there is to know about money, just because you're making a good income, that's not going to help you move forward, right? Hey, Lisa J. Stocks, thanks for joining. And so I want to challenge you with this. My main thing is, how can you look at your life now? Part of this is going to be you being honest with yourself, right? Really looking at how you can reframe situations. And I'm talking specifically to my mothers out there, the ones who, you're doing everything for everybody else. You're trying to be the be all end all to everyone. Stop doing that. Like, focus on filling your cup first. Focus on making sure that you are whole first. Focus on making sure that you are emotionally regulated first. And then reaching out and providing the support to the limit and the boundaries. Like, I love talking about boundaries. That's something personally that I've been working on over the last few years of how do I set boundaries with, people in my life, with my finances, so that I'm able to see that progress. But I say this to you is making sure that you, again, are setting boundaries, but checking in with yourself to understand what it is that you need. Like, in this moment, this is something that, I like to do when I'm journaling. I'll ask myself, like, what do I need in this moment? Like, what am I feeling right now that I need in this moment? Is it that I just need some quiet time? Is it that I just need to, get a cup of coffee? Like, what is it that you need in that moment to regulate yourself so that you're not operating from a place of stress or a place of just continuing to be in that shame, right? And then I want you to also think about how can you reshift the way that you're thinking about your spending habits, right? As I mentioned before, say you're that mom who's like, you know what, I'm just going to go pick up something to eat, today because I don't have the mental capacity. What if you allowed yourself to say in that moment, I'm going to pick up something to eat because this is a decision that you can plan for it, that I'm going to create a buffer to plan for these moments where I may not have the mental capacity to cook dinner, right? And then allow yourself without guilt to be able to buy the thing. Again, I like to stress this. It's not about you being restrictive and thinking that you have to cut back on everything in your life. It's all about alignment, right? And when I talk about alignment, maybe for you, you're like, you know what? I don't really care for fast food, but I just spend it because I'm just trying to, reduce my mental load. Well, what are some other ways that you can stay in alignment with where if you don't like fast food, just you're not buying it, but you're being more aligned that maybe you're getting a meal prep chef, or maybe you are prepping meals yourself to where you don't have to resort to buying the thing that maybe is not aligned with you, right? But these are the things that I want you to start reframing instead of having that narrative where you're shaming yourself. There's ways for you to shift your thinking. There's ways for you to plan around it without then trying to blame yourself for it, right? But then at the same time too, what are some habits that you can implement to help you? Like I mentioned before, like being proactive. What are some habits that you can do for yourself to help you in those arenas where okay, if you know that this is going to be a stressful week for you, how can you proactively plan to ensure that you're putting, again, a boundary in place to protect yourself? Because you know that when you have a stressful week at work, that usually impacts your finances and you're more likely to spend, whether it's buying, quick fast food. I know for me, it was one of those, like, I shopped for joy. Like, okay, this makes me feel good. So I'm swiping my credit card, but I had to become aware of the habits. And that's part of you becoming aware, in tune with yourself of, okay, what are the things that I'm doing in my life? And what are the habits and patterns that happens that leads me to that overspending, right? Because it's not necessarily on the surface. Yes, it looks like overspending, but when you really sit with yourself and try to uncover, well, what's actually happening, it's so much more than that. You're already carrying a lot, right? And so it's just important to be easy on yourself. Don't be so quick to judge yourself and thinking that you're bad with money, because I can guarantee you there is almost always something else that is underneath the surface of it that's contributing to what you see as uncontrollable spending, but I may see it as you're just, you're stressed and you're just finding the easiest way for you to just be able to decompress and not have to deal with yet another thing to make a decision on, right? But I'm going to leave you with this. I want you to think about your last money decision. Like, and if you want to journal it, think about it. But I want you to ask yourself the question, what happened, whether it was you shopping or, whatever it was, but ask yourself, what were you needing in that moment? What were you really needing in that moment? On the surface, you may have thought you just spent when you really didn't have the money to spend, or you just swiped the credit card. What did you really need in that moment? I want you to journal that and think about it, right? And then the other part is, what would it look like for you to be able to meet that need before you get to a place where you actually feel burnt out? Like I shared with you, for me, one of those things that I continuously monitor, I like I said, I do voice journals in the morning to myself to check in and see what's going on with me. How am I feeling for that day? What I need to do. Sometimes I have to check in and say, okay, today in this moment, either I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling, disorganized or whatever it may be. And then I'll say to myself, okay, you know what? Let me just go take a walk, because I know that walking calms me down. I'm going to do that so that I can operate from a place of, clarity and calmness, so that it doesn't impact my finances or any other areas of my life in what I'm doing, right? It really is all about you just connecting with self so that it's not spilling over into other areas, right? But the main thing, if anything you take away from this today, be easy on yourself. Like, don't automatically think that there's something wrong with you because you're not further ahead than where you need to be. Like, if I can just, there's so many people out here who have no idea what they're doing, right? We are all trying. We are all taking one step to learning something new every day. I personally like to learn something new every single day. Don't focus so much on the surface level behavior of what you're doing, and really try to sit with yourself and understand what's happening underneath that surface. Because at the end of the day, real change is going to become from you being more curious with yourself and understanding that it takes progress one step at a time for you to shift and move forward towards the life that you want. But it is possible. And I hope this resonated with you, because I just, like I said, that seeing the movie yesterday, and like this was already the topic that I wanted to talk about, I was like, ooh, wow, like it was just so divine of me seeing that and just seeing the parallels of yeah, she had so much going on and it impacted all the different areas, and money was the source of that. That was the stress, but there were so many other things that she needed in that moment, and it was still impacting her. So for you, understand what it is that you need in that moment, all right? Sit with yourself, take a walk, meditate, do therapy, all of the above, whatever works for you to really, again, regulate yourself emotionally so that you can show up for yourself and the people that are within your life. Okay? Thank y'all for joining me for another Wednesday Live. I will see y'all next week. And if you are watching the replay, let me know what you took away from this, if you have any questions, and I will see y'all again next week. All right? Here's to your financial freedom. Peace.